Hello detectives, and welcome to my video for February. Now, as you can probably see, the room behind me is not the same room that was in my last video in January. And that is because, as I said in that video, I have just moved house. I am now sitting in my brand new house, in my brand new study, at my brand new desk, and I absolutely love it. I have space for all of my books, not just the UK editions at the top shelf there, but also all the international editions, my Guggenheim mystery editions. They all look so fantastic there together, and I get to look at them every day while I'm writing my books. I feel really, really lucky. Now, I said I would give you a tour of the study. I'm not going to do that quite yet because the whole rest of the study is still a bit of a mess. We still have shelves to put up. Watson's cage is right behind this video camera, but it is getting there. Watson is happy to be in, I am happy to be in, and this part of it at least looks really, really lovely. This month, I didn't manage to do that many events. In fact, I only did one at the South Bank Centre as part of their Imagine Festival, which was a huge amount of fun. Now that is for several reasons, partly because I was still unpacking our house. Partly because I was working really, really hard on the third draft of Murder Most Unladylike Mysteries 9, which is coming out in August and which I have just sent to my editor at Puffin this morning. I am so excited about it. It is really nearly done, but of course I've had to work very, very hard on it to make sure that it will be ready to publish in August. But the other reason why I haven't done that many events this month is because I'm resting before March, because March is going to be a completely different story. In the UK and in Ireland, the 5th of March is World Book Day. And World Book Day is a very special and important celebration of the power of stories, of books, and of reading. And I am absolutely thrilled and delighted to say that this year, my book, The Case of the Drowned Pearl, has been chosen as one of the official World Book Day 2020 titles. Lots of authors have written special stories for World Book Day, and these books are available to buy either for £1 or €1.50, or if you have a token, which every child in the UK and Ireland should be given, you get one of these books totally for free. It's the most amazing scheme. It means that kids all over the UK and Ireland can own their own book, which many kids unfortunately do not get the chance to do normally. And I am so proud to be one of the amazing lineup of authors this year. So next month in March, I am going to be rushing around, visiting lots of schools, going and doing lots of events to talk about The Case of the Drowned Pearl and to spread the joy of reading as far as I can. As I say, I am so proud of this book. I loved writing it, and I really, really hope that you enjoy reading it, or you enjoy reading one of the other books that are available for World Book Day this year. I think it's really, really important that children are given a proper choice of different types of story to read. And I know that whatever you're into, you're going to be able to find something for you to discover on this year's World Book Day list. So that is what I've been doing this month and what I've been preparing for next month. But now I'm going to go back to the more regular content of these videos and recommend you some of the great books that I have been reading recently. I really didn't have the chance to read anything in December and January, which is really unusual for me. But now we have moved, now I've handed in this new draft of Murder Most Unladylike 9. I have discovered a bit more time to read, which is wonderful. I really missed reading books. So this is a very short list of some of my very favourite titles from the last few weeks of reading. February is LGBTQ plus History Month, a month where we particularly celebrate the amazing contributions that the LGBTQ plus community has made to the world. And so the first book that I've chosen for this month is a book that looks at one aspect of the LGBTQ plus experience, transness in a way that is very thoughtful and sensitive and helpful. In the UK at the moment, there are a lot of conversations going on around the trans and non-binary community, about who trans people are, about what rights trans people should have, about what trans people want, and often those conversations, unfortunately, are very negative, very cruel, very misinformed, and that is something that's really, really damaging to the trans and non-binary communities. And I watch these conversations happen and I feel very concerned for my trans friends. And so reading a book like this one, Sarah Hagger-Holt's Nothing Ever Happens Here, was a really welcome change from the normal, very negative conversations that I see. This book is about a girl called Izzy who lives with her family in a tiny little town in England called Littlehaven. Nothing ever happens in Littlehaven. It is, thinks Izzy, completely boring and not newsworthy until one day her dad makes an announcement. Her dad tells Izzy and her older sister and her younger brother that in fact she is a woman called Danielle, that this is something she's been hiding for years and years, and she finally has realized she can't keep on like this and she needs to start living publicly as the person she knows she is inside. And this is something that really at first throws Izzy for a big loop. It really upsets her and confuses her. She doesn't understand at first what this means for her, what this means for her relationship with her dad and her family. But the really nice thing about this book is the way that Izzy and her sister and her brother work through all of their feelings, and they learn to accept Danielle for who she is. They learn that their family really hasn't changed very much. It still has two parents who really love their children, and they learn how to think about and speak about their dad. So this book is really just a slice of life. It's about Izzy as she lives her life. She learns to be more confident. She's acting in a play, Guys and Dolls, with her friends. She's just going through her normal everyday existence, but also learning to deal with this new thing that has happened in her family. I really enjoyed this book. It's very simply, sensibly written. It's written from a place of a lot of knowledge. Sarah is someone who works with a lot of trans and non-binary people. She works as part of Stonewall, a charity who helps the whole LGBTQ plus community. So it is very well informed and it really feels very warm and understanding. I would recommend it for anyone about 8+, anyone who enjoys stories about the modern world, stories about families, stories about people overcoming small problems in their life, as Izzy does as she's learning to become a bit more confident, and also people who want to read more stories that center LGBTQ plus lives. February is also Black History Month, and the next book I've chosen is one that looks at Black history, at Blackness, anti-Blackness, race relations, all in the medium of an online game. It's for slightly older readers than Nothing Ever Happens Here. It is Slay by Brittney Morris. Slay is the story of Kira, a 17-year-old American high schooler who seems totally normal to her friends and her family. She's one of the only Black kids at her school. It's her, her sister, and her boyfriend, and that is it. But Kira has a secret. And the secret is that every day she goes home and she logs on to an online game, a game called Slay. But Kira doesn't just play Slay, an online game that you can only join, you can only play if you are Black. Kira created Slay. She is the coder, she's the person who has made this entire game, a game that hundreds of thousands of people all over the world play. And because Kira is really interested in thinking about her Blackness, about her race, about her culture and what it means, Slay is a game that is all about Blackness. Two people play each other online by pulling out several cards that give them special magical powers during the bouts. And those cards are all informed by something to do with Black culture. It's a really clever concept, it's a really clever game, and it's super fun to read about Slay. But that is just the beginning, because Kira's world and Slay are about to be turned upside down when one of the players of Slay, a teenage boy, is found murdered. He has been murdered for the money that he made in the game. And because the computer game is sort of the reason for his death, of course, it's not the reason he was murdered. The murderer is the reason he was murdered, but he was murdered over this computer game. Adults, and especially white adults, find out about Slay and they start saying that it's a negative influence, that it's racist, that it's unfair, that only Black people can play, that it's full of dangerous people. And Kira suddenly finds her hidden online identity at stake, and also her whole game. People are threatening to shut down Slay. And that is all I'm going to say about the plot. I don't want to give away anything more because it is so exciting. It is so fast-paced. There are twists, there are turns. You will be totally engrossed and totally shocked by everything that happens in this game, as I was. I completely love this book. I read it in about an evening. I could not put it down. Normally, I can guess what is going to happen in a book, and I did not guess until almost the very end of this story. I was left shocked and very impressed with Brittney Morris's plotting. I think this is perfect for anybody 12 plus who loves computer games, who loves thrillers, who loves really exciting, twisty, turny stories. I think there is something in here for people who love murder mysteries. It's not totally a murder mystery because it's pretty obvious who has killed this poor kid. But there is a lot of really good plotting that somebody who does like murder mysteries will really, really appreciate. My next choice is a book that I was recommended by one of my readers, and I'm really, really grateful because it made me go out, get this book from the library and read it, and I was hooked. It is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir, and this is a book for anybody who loves fantasy fiction, high fantasy, lots of swords and demons and fighting and overthrowing empires. If you enjoyed the Hunger Games, this is something that I think you'll really, really like. This book is set in the fictional Martial Empire, which is, I think, a little bit based on the Roman Empire. This book follows two main characters. The first is Leia, a scholar who is living with her grandparents and her brother at the beginning of the book. But her brother has been spying on the Empire and he is taken into custody, taken to prison. Their home is raided and their grandparents are murdered. Leia has to go and find the Resistance, people who she has a family connection with, and the Resistance sends her to spy in Blackcliff. Blackcliff is an elite military academy that trains these people called masks, who are the Empire's most elite fighting force, and Leia has to spy on the commandant of Blackcliff, a woman who is plotting something that the Resistance wants to stop. And Leia hopes that if she does this, the Resistance can break her brother out of his prison and they can be reunited. The other main character in this book is Elias, and Elias is one of the students at Blackcliff. He is about to graduate, he is about to become a mask, but he's got a secret, and his secret is that he is trying to escape. He is trying to be the first student in years, possibly forever, to escape from Blackcliff and get away with it. He hates the Martial Empire, he hates everything to do with Blackcliff, and he especially hates the commandant, who happens to be his mother. But Elias's attempts to flee are thwarted when he, his best friend, and his worst enemies are all pulled in to become part of the trials to become the next emperor. This is the first in a trilogy. Like Slay, I read this really, really fast. I read it in a couple of days and I've already ordered the next two from the library because I loved it. I couldn't put it down. It's really easily written. It's very fun to read. It's very easy to get into. The storyline rushes along. You're flipping constantly between Leia and Elias, and you want to know what's happening in each of their storylines. I thought this was a really great beginning to a trilogy, and it's something that you will love if you love fantasy stories, if you love books about strong, conflicted characters who might or might not be falling in love. If you love a bit of romance, this is a great book for you. I would say this is perfect for anybody who's a fantasy lover from about the age of maybe 13, 14. I'm saying that because it's a bit more violent than Slay, but it is still a really easy, fun, engaging read, and I think you guys will love it. As I've said, next month I'm doing a lot of events and I'm really, really looking forward to them. And one of the ones I'm looking forward to most is on the 17th of March in Oxford Waterstones at 7 p.m, where I am getting the chance to talk to super famous YA author Karen McManus. And I'm talking to her about her new book, One of Us Is Next. Now, you may have heard of Karen McManus from her first book, One of Us Is Lying. It was phenomenally successful because it was phenomenally good. It was about 4 teenagers who were caught up in a locked room murder mystery at their high school in America when a boy, a very cruel boy called Simon, who has been spreading secrets about the rest of the school, is murdered. And the 4 kids in the room with him at the time are the only suspects. It was very well plotted. It was a really interesting, exciting YA murder mystery thriller. And Karen is back with the sequel with One of Us Is Next. Now, the first thing I will say about this is if you haven't read One of Us Is Lying, you need to go read that before you read this, because this spoils the ends of One of Us Is Lying in like the 3rd page. So read that first. But once you have read that, you should definitely go on to read this. Karen's books are so much fun. They are such easy, engaging, quick reads in the very best way. You will not want to put them down. You'll be racing through every single page. And at the beginning of this book, it starts off about a year after the end of One of Us Is Lying. The community who were torn apart by this terrible crime in the first book, they're finally starting to come together. Everything is finally starting to calm down. And then it almost seems like Simon is back because somebody is sending threats again. They're sending texts to everybody's phone, all of the kids at this high school's phones, to say that either these kids need to do a dare or this anonymous person will reveal a truth about them, a truth that they do not want to have spread. And it starts off, the first girl who is sent this threat ignores it, and her secret is revealed to the whole school, and it is shocking, and it tears apart her family, it tears apart her friendship group. And so everybody else pulls themselves together and realizes this is serious. The person who is doing this is not playing around. And that is the premise of the book, and I don't want to say anything more about it than that in case I give you spoilers, but I hope that's enough to whet your appetite. I think Karen writes teenagers really well. I think she uses technology really well, which I think is something that's quite hard to do. A lot of authors are really afraid of using text messages and the internet in their mystery stories, but Karen does it really well and shows how it really can be done in a very twisty, exciting way that gives away none of the mystery and makes things feel even more perilous. Of course, just like One of Us Is Lying, somebody does die in this. It is a proper murder mystery, I can promise you. And I also promise you that the end is really satisfying and really clever. I guessed it a little bit before the end, but she had me going for quite a while. This, I think, is a book that will really challenge you, even if you are a very smart murder mystery reader. I would say this is perfect for anybody about 12 plus, anybody who loves my books but maybe feels a little bit too old for them now, anybody who enjoyed Holly Jackson's A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, anybody who likes Karen's books. Perfect for murder mystery lovers. As I say, I will be in conversation with Karen on the 17th of March at Oxford Waterstones. We're also going to be on a panel together at the Killer Women Festival in London on the 15th of March, and you can get tickets for both of those things on my website calendar. It will send you through to the website links you need to get tickets. I do also have a couple more events. I'm going to be at Dulwich on the 1st of March at 3 p.m. and I think there are a couple more tickets left for that. I am also going to be at Liverpool Waterstones on Friday the 6th of March at I think 5 p.m. That is a totally free event, not ticketed. I will also be at lots of schools next week. Hopefully you should have been told if I am going to come visit your school, but I'm going to be travelling to schools near Oxford. I'm going to be in London. I'm going to be in Manchester and Liverpool. So I am really excited about that. And if I am coming to your school, please do come up and say hi to me afterwards. I'd love to talk to you. So that is all for me this month, and I hope you really enjoyed that video. I will be out on the road next month doing lots of events, and if you're coming to one of them, I really hope you enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to seeing you. I'll also have lots of events in April and May. Just keep checking my website calendar, robin-stevens.co.uk/calendar, to find out what I am doing, and I keep updating that all the time, so do keep checking in if you don't see something in your area. So I'm now going to go and prepare for my big tour next week. I'm really excited about it. I will be back at the end of March for another video to tell you how World Book Day went and to give you more recommendations. But until then, goodbye.